Okay, so like I said, if you have a graphing calculator, I'm going to show you how to also do this on the graphing calculator. Listen. If you do not have one, or you left it at home, it's okay. You absolutely can do this without a calculator, okay? You absolutely can. In fact, boys and girls that are pulling them out, that's good if you have them. But at the beginning, you're going to have to do this without the calculator. And then I'll show you when we're done how to do it with the calculator. So if you guys have one, watch how I show you. I even put new batteries in mine last night. Watch how I do it, and then you can practice at home. Again, if you do not own one, okay, yes, it was on the supply list, but guys, these things aren't cheap. And right now, especially during a pandemic with parents kind of worried about, finances and everything, absolutely do not go tell your parents, I have to have this $100 calculator for this.
$100?
Yeah, they're expensive. This calculator for this one assignment. No. You're not going to do that. This can be done without a calculator. It may take you a little bit more time, but that's okay. Okay, so 10.6, we're doing permutations. Okay, permutations, what? Permutations is an arrangement. Better hurry up and sharpen it. Or get another one. Of a group of objects in a particular order. Okay, I've underlined the important words. Arrangement and particular order. Not a random order. Like if I were to draw a bunch of names from a hat, that's kind of like random. All right, factorials. We're dealing with factorials. That's the name. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. It looks like this. That is 3 factorial. This is an example.
Is that an exclamation point?
Yep, exclamation point.
Will it always be the 3?
No, that's just an example. And that means 3 times 2 times 1.
Everything times everything below it?
Exactly. While y'all are catching up, let me get my calculator out. It's been a year since I've done factorials because, you use it so much in life. But, see, I have to have a sense of humor about some of y'all's questions about that. But, I should have practiced again last night. All I did was put batteries in. So we'll play around with the calculator in a minute. That's why I'm saying, you can do this without the graphing calculator.
It should be easy with the
All right, so it would be. So for example, 6 factorial. That is written 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1.
It's just like our book saying fundamental for math.
Right.
It's not really.
I have a question. The one at the end, like I know you have to put it there, but it really just means
It's worthless.
Mm.
Right. But you still have to put it there because that's what factorial means. So 6 factorial, you just are multiplying all the numbers below it. Now, if you, Taylor, raise your hand, please. Okay, so here's the thing. Could you do this on paper?
Yes.
6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. You can do it, right? Is it going to take you a while?
Yes.
Yes. But you can do it without a calculator. Okay? So 5 factorial. That would be 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. If you multiply it all together, you get 120.
What about the 6th one?
Well, I just didn't calculate it. I'm just showing you.
120 times 6.
Yeah, exactly. 120 times 6. Yes.
Couldn't you memorize like the
5 factorial is always 120.
Mhm.
So yeah, you absolutely can. You can memorize. Okay, so Whit's right. You could sit there and memorize that 5 factorial is always 120. 4 factorial is always blah blah blah.
720, I think.
7.
Seven
How is it going to be
20?
less?
He's talking about 6 factorial.
Oh, 6.
Oh, wait. 1 sec.
Yeah, try it out.
120 times 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I was right.
does
720.
it?
720.
It has to be a graphing calculator. It can't be like a regular.
No. Now let me show. Oh, hold on, just a second. So if you have a regular calculator like I have here in the classroom, or even the calculator on your phone, you could sit there and work this out, right? So you could. So that's what I'm saying. I'm going to show you in just a second how quick it is on a graphing calculator. But you absolutely could do this on a regular calculator. You could also just do it by hand, right?
I didn't notice.
It's going to take you a while, but still. So let's look at, now here's where it gets big. This is where it gets ugly, okay? You're going to have possible numbers that are like 20 factorial, and that's 20 times 19 times 18 times 17, and I'm going to say ... because y'all get the idea.
I'm gonna write it all.
It will take that. It would take you forever. But is it doable without a graphing calculator? Yes. It may take you a long time, but it is absolutely doable. Okay, I found it. Okay,
I've written them all down.
so put your pencil down when you're done. Okay, so let me show you on the graphing calculator. Everyone needs to be watching. So, here's a graphing calculator. Again, this is my calculator.
It looks okay.
I know, that was on the supply list. They all look the same, but now they're starting to get fancier, like
Except for
covers and
his.
stuff like that.
His looks different.
It may be, and that's A-okay. Now, I will say, if we are using these, if you are using these, if you have something other than the one that's on the supply list, or there's a TI-83, there's TI-83 plus, TI-83, all of the TIs, Texas Instruments, they're very similar. Some do a little bit more than others. I know how to use those. I have to refresh my memory every now and then.
It's a TI.
If you have a completely different brand, like I have had students that have Casios, because that's what their parent already had. They weren't going to go buy a brand new one, right? I may not be able to help you. I've had some crazy calculators come in here, and I'm like, I don't know where to find it. So the TIs, press on. You see this button called Math. I'm trying to, okay, so that says Math right there.
So it's right below the green one.
Yeah, so
The
it's,
alpha.
so all the yellow, see all the yellow words and stuff? You have to press the yellow button, and then the yellow stuff works. Anything that's in green, you press the green button, and it comes up.
Green base.
We're not having, Taylor, we're not having to worry about that. We're worried about this math button. In pre-algebra and algebra, pretty much everything we do is with the math button. So I'm going to press math, and this shows up. Okay? Now, I need to go over here to probability. So I'm using my arrow, and I have probability. Do you see number 4? That is an exclamation mark. You see that? So right here we had 5 factorial and it gave us 120. So I'm going to press, see, I've cleared my screen. I'm going to press 5. I'm going to hit math, come all the way over here to probability, and then I'm going to go down to 4 and I'm going to hit enter.
You can also just press
You absolutely can just press 4. Taylor, please raise your hand. I'm not going to tell you again. So I press enter and I get 5 factorial. Do y'all see that? I'm going to hit enter again and I get 120. There you go. So let's try 6.
That's not even doing, I don't know, like any math in your head.
Bingo.
Numbers.
Bingo. So if I press 6 and I want 6 factorial, I can press math, go over here to probability, and like Taylor said, you can either go down using the arrow, or you can just press number 4 because number 4 is factorial. And I get that, I hit enter, and I get 720. So you see, this is easier. Let's do 20 factorial.
Whoa. That has an E in it.
That's because it goes on. It's too big. Now, so that's how you use a graphing calculator, but you can also sit there and calculate it out with a regular calculator. You can sit there 20 times 19 times 18. You can do that. All right, let's move on. So now I'm going to introduce you to the way it's written, the formula. Permutation, because it's P, N, and R. N is the number of objects. R is how many taken. Oops. And this is a number of objects.
Wait, the P is?
The whole thing.
Oh.
So R is how many taken, and N is number of objects. I'm going to explain that to you in just a minute, but this is the formula. Is what it looks like, and I'm going to show you in just a minute. Do I have it written down? Okay, so let's say you do not have a graphing calculator. And I give you a problem involving permutations. I tell you what the N and the R is. You have to be able to figure it out. Okay? This is the formula. N factorial over N minus R factorial. Okay, this right here is extremely important. You will have to have this memorized. For permutations, this is your formula. N factorial, do you see the N right here? Whatever number's here goes on top as a factorial. Then underneath it's N minus R, and it's a factorial. This is your formula. I don't care how many stars or circles or whatever. You need to make sure you know that.
Can I move up to this desk?
Absolutely. So if anyone can move to Emily's desk or the empty desk if you can't see in the back, because this is important. All right. Everyone have this? Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I give you, I messed up already. 5 and 2. So I gave you a permutation with the 5 there and the 2. What letter does the 5 represent?
N.
And the 2 represents
R.
R.
We're going like backwards, what's it called? X.
Okay, so if we look at our formula here, and I would recommend writing N and R like right underneath them so that you don't get confused. So the top of this little fraction thing, it says N factorial. So what is N again?
5.
So it's 5 factorial on top. And then underneath it's N minus R. So that would be 5 minus 2 factorial. Are y'all with me so far? Okay, what is 5 minus 2?
3.
So then I have 5 factorial on top and 3 factorial on the bottom, right? Does that make sense so far?
Mhm.
Any questions so far? So you're just plugging in information. Okay, and we talked about, now watch this, 5 factorial, and you better write this down, is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1. Are y'all with me so far? Are there any questions? Izzy, how you doing? Does this make sense so far? Joanne, does this make sense? Cecilia, does it make sense? Michaela, got it? All right. Y'all see this 3, 2, 1 and this 3, 2, 1? I can cross those out because they're the same. I'm now left with 5 times 4 on the top because everything on the bottom's gone, right?
Mhm.
So what's 5 times 4?
20.
And there's my answer.
And if you didn't cross those out and you did 120 over 6, then you divide and get 20.
That's right. But this, being able to cross it out makes it a little bit easier. Any questions?
What if you weren't to cross out the 3, 2, 1?
That's what he said. If you did this total, let's say you didn't cross anything out, you would have gotten 120 up here and 6 down here. 120 divided by 6 is 20.
Oh, okay.
So if you didn't cross it out, then you could still get the right answer. Now, let me see.
But if you can cross it out, cross it out.
Oh yeah, it'd be a lot easier. Okay, so for example, let's say I'm using the graphing calculator again. Here's my problem. We're doing permutations. N is 5, R is 2. Since the 5 comes first, I'm going to do 5, hit math, come over here to probability, and look at number 2. Does that look familiar? Do y'all see that?
It does.
NPR. Do y'all see that? See? Same thing, right? I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to put, now look, you see 5 is here. What do you think I put over here?
The 2.
The 2. Hit enter, and there's my answer.
That's awesome.
See? 5. Come over here. And like Taylor had mentioned earlier, I can just press the number 2 since the permutation is 2. And then there's my answer.
What's NCR?
Oh, you'll be learning that tomorrow.
Oh.
Okay, so let's say, here's a little tidbit for you.
Wait, does P stand for permutation?
Yes, permutations, P. Very good.
Permutation?
So if you, let's say I'm gonna do one little example. If your N and your R are the same, if your N and the R are the same, it's just going to be that number factorial.
And that's your answer?
No.
Oh.
It'd be 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 120 we've already determined. So if ever the number's the same, you don't have to do all this work. You only have to do all of this work if the numbers, the N and the R, are different. So if they're the same, it's just that number factorial and you work it out. Any questions?
Oh,
Yes.
is this 20 back to factorial, but it's just you do P and R instead of just...
Well, this is if we're actually doing permutations.
And this is just finding 1?
Yeah, that's just, I was just explaining what, because right here you had to know what this meant. So up there where we talked about factorials is just teaching you about that. All right, let's do another one. How about if I have a permutation 8 and 3? What letter's the 8?
N.
What letter's the 3?
R.
There you go. What's the formula? Raise your hand. Gabby? Factorial. Factorial. And y'all need to have this memorized. Whether you have a graphing calculator or not, this is going to be on the test. You got to know the formula for permutation. All right, so what is my N, Joanne? What? So I put, what do I put on top? 8 factorial. Very good. Izzy, what do I put on the bottom?
8 factorial minus. Oh wait, 8 minus 3. And
Factorial. Yeah, factorial. Okay, so I have 8 factorial over what's 8 minus 3, Cecilia?
5.
So 8 factorial over 5 factorial. I'm going to spread it out. So I have 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 all over 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Make sure you are writing all this down. Michael, you got it all down? Everything I write, you are writing. If I write an N and an R right here, then you better have it on your notes. All right, so now we can cross things out to make it easier. I have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the bottom, and I can cross that out on the top. I have 8 times 7 times 6. If you were to work this out, whether you have a calculator or not, you would get 336 as your answer. Any questions? Y'all have it? Let's check it out on the graphing calculator. So I have my permutation. I have 8. I hit math. Go all the way over here, and it's number 2. And then my R is 3. 336. And that checks. Any questions? All right, let's open up your books. We're doing examples, page 427. All right. I'm going to wait until everyone's got their books open. Look, you learned something new today, and it's not so scary, is it?
Who? Dana's not so scary. What's his name?
I said you learned something new today. It's not so scary.
Oh.
Are you blind?
Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Number 2. Let's see. Aiden, read the directions.
Evaluate column improve.
Okay, so 2 is 9 factorial. You're gonna, I want y'all to understand how this works. 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. If you had no calculator, that might take you a while. Raise your hand if you can come up with the answer. You can either use your graphing calculator with the factorial, or you can just calculate it out. If you need to borrow one of mine, that's in the cabinet. Raise your hand. Like I said, if you want to borrow one of the blue ones out of the cabinet, you can. Whit.
362,880.
Very
I was
good.
calculating in my head and I was at 6 when the answer.
Whoa. I've never
So-
seen one like this. I just grabbed one. Is that one?
No, that's, I mean, you can use, I think it's just a regular calculator.
Just different color.
Yeah,
I don't
just,
know if you're allowed to. She didn't let me.
no, I said you can, it's just a regular calculator.
Personally, I think it takes less brain cells to do this, to just write them all out, than to go down and go to math and go down to the probability and then hit 4.
It takes less brain cells.
You can just go by the rows and it's
Yeah.
easy.
Okay, any questions about that? Let's look at number 5. 0 factorial. I'm going to put a star here as part of your notes. 0 factorial. Those of you that have a graphing calculator, see what 0 factorial is. I mean, seriously, how do you do 0 times 0? All right, Michael already got it. It's 1. Anytime you see 0 factorial, the answer is 1.
Why?
It just is.
You can't have a 0 in the thing, so they just substitute it for 1, I guess.
I don't know the reasoning.
Why not 0?
Okay, let's go to the next one. Michaela, read the directions for 8.
Evaluate the following products.
Okay, it says 4 times 5 factorial. Now, guys, misconception. People want to do 4 times 5 is 20 factorial. No, that's not how this works. So make sure you're writing this all down. It is 4 times 5 factorial. So we're doing 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Michael, I will be checking everyone's notes, so you better have everything down. So that's not 4 times 5 is 20 factorial or anything. It's 4 times 5 factorial. You need to write this out. We've already done 5 factorial. What is it?
420.
And you get,
480.
very good. Now, this can be done on the graphing calculator as well. Right? Does everyone know how?
No.
I think.
I think it's 4.
Make sure you have the parentheses there. Let's see.
Can you do 4 times 5 factorial? That's
Yeah, I got it. Could just do
Yes.
120 times 4 times 4.
Look. 4. Just as it's written. Here's a parentheses. 5. Go over here to probability. Number 4 is your factorial. See, number 4 is factorial. end parentheses. Hit enter. There's your answer.
Oh, wow, nice. Or couldn't you just do 4 times 5? Factorial?
You need to put the parentheses there. I mean, I guess you could do 4 times, but I will tell you, Taylor, before you go to Algebra 1, you need to practice not changing it up using parentheses. Trust me when I tell you, it will get you. All right. Any questions about that? Let's look at number 14. Evaluate the following permutations. So 14, it has an N of 4 and an R of 4. What did I tell you? If they're the same,
You do the thing,
you do the thing.
and
No, that doesn't tell me anything. You do the
you just
thing.
do 4 times 3 times 2 times 1.
You do
One of those.
4 factorial, which is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1.
24.
If they're the same, that's only when they're the same. Any questions? Michael, do you have this down yet? You still writing? Do you have it all? Y'all all better have everything I'm writing down. Okay. Let's do 20. We're evaluating still. I'm doing a permutation with a 6 and a 3. Cecilia, what letter is the 6?
N,
And the 3?
R,
And what is my formula, Cecilia?
N over
N factorial.
N factorial over N minus R factorial.
If I'm writing this, you guys are writing this. Do you understand? Cecilia, what goes on top?
6
Factorial.
factorial.
Izzy, what goes on the bottom?
6 minus 3.
Very good. So I have 6 factorial over 3 factorial. I'm going to write it out. I have 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 all over 3 times 2 times 1. I can cross these out, and I'm left with 6 times 5 times 4. 6 times 5 is
30.
30. 30 times 4 is?
120.
Very good. Any question? I got 3 more.
Of these old calculators, it says TI-36.
Probably. Any questions about this?
So
Hmm?
next thing you know, they're going to start making calculators that are phones. Wait.
They have that in your phone.
All right, he's joking. Let's look at 32. It says find the number of different arrangements of the following. Okay, now these are all examples of permutations. Okay? So look at 32. It says 3 different positions are to be filled from among 6 employees. So here's what it's supposed to look like. We have to decide where the 6 and the 3 go. 3 different positions are to be filled from among 6 employees. So if we go back to the beginning, R is how many taken, N is the total number of objects. Total number of objects, how many taken. Okay, So let's read this again. 3 different positions are to be filled among 6 employees. So if N is the total number, what would N be?
6.
Very good. And then it says 3 different positions, like president, vice president, whatever. That would be your R. So remember, N is the number of objects and how many taken from that. Remember when we did all of that the other day, it was like draw a hat for all these positions and ice cream, that sort of thing. You have 50 different flavors, but you can choose blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Yes, Whit.
Will the bigger number always be on top?
Don't count on it,
Okay.
but 9 times out of 10, yes. Let's look at 34. So again, we have N and R is what it's supposed to look like. So Michaela, read number 34.
An organization with 30 people in it must choose 2 people for different jobs.
So what would be your total number of things?
30?
30. That's right. And you're choosing, what are you choosing there?
2.
That's right. So your total
Oh man.
total number of objects and the 2, what do we say over here, is how many taken.
Oh, yeah.
And so that would be 30 times 29.
And all they want you to do, it says find the number. Oh, that's right, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We got to come up with the actual answer. So
6 and 4.
32. Did anyone figure that out?
Oh, no.
60.
It would be 6 factorial over 6 minus 3 factorial. So 6 factorial
120.
over
No.
3
Yeah.
factorial, and you get 120. It's just like the one we did up there. How about this one? This would be, oh, this is bad. 30 factorial over 30 minus 2 factorial.
So basically just 30 times
30 factorial over 28 factorial. So as Taylor said, if you were to cut it all down, it would just be what?
30 times 29.
30 times 29.
What's that?
Don't, and nobody yell it out.
Wait, that's 20. Oh, never mind.
Because we're doing 30 on top and then we cut out the 28.
5,400?
Nope.
He said don't yell it out.
Yep.
Or he said.
I don't have scratch paper. One sec.
What?
This is how we're working it out, right? We can cut out 28 and below and 28 below, so all we're left with is this.
Wait, why does it say 30 times 20?
I just showed you. If we do 30 factorial on top and 28 factorial on the bottom, we cut out, right? 28 and below, and 28 below, we're only left with 30 times 29. Whit?
You want me to say the answer?
Yes.
870.
Good.
What I think was in thousands.
So again, if you cross this stuff out, you see you're only left with 30 times 29, right? So you absolutely can do this without a calculator.
For some reason, I was trying to do 30 times 20 times 9.
Yeah, don't do that. Any questions? Y'all have it down? All right, look at 36. Last one. Izzy. Read it. A decorator.
A decorator is to arrange three potted plants chosen from a set of set.
So she's needing to, or he needs to arrange 3 potted plants from a set of 7. What is your total?
7.
Bingo. Your total is 7. Because it says from a set of 7. And the number chosen, how many taken would be what, Izzy? Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So then we have 7 factorial on top. 7, minus 3 factorial on the bottom. That'd be 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3, 2, and 1 over 7 minus 3 is 4, right? Michael, I know you're writing all this down. 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. I cross this out and this out. I'm left with 7 times 6 times 5. Someone besides Whit. Aiden.
Is 210?
Yes. Any questions? All right, y'all are doing page 427. Numbers 7 through 23 odd. And 31 to 35 odd. This is due Wednesday. Your test is Wednesday of next week. I'm not going to write this down. I am assigning IXL. It will be due Wednesday of next week. Okay?